Alrighty, good morning everyone. It's your boy B Phil back again with trade ideas for 117. Let's just dive right into it and see what's going on in these markets. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the US 100, also known as the NASDAQ. And what are we seeing here? So, as we previously stated, we had a few zones. Now, what time frame we were looking at these zones? Let's go ahead and start on the daily. And it looks like we're starting to see some bullish price action, bullish momentum. But what I would say is we're probably coming up here to mitigate this zone, I'd say, because overall, like, let's look at this. So we saw prices like this right now, right? So then we're probably wanting to see it come up and then continue down. Something, because it just overall looks pretty bearish. Because if we're looking here, we started to push up, then we broke down, right? Overall, if we're looking at the daily, there is some intermediate candlestick structure. So we could say, okay, well, we broke up above here. Let's go ahead and put these lines on so you can see what I'm talking about. We broke up above here, this particular zone here. And so then we say, well, where did that come from? Well, it came from down here. So then we want to go ahead and put our nice little line here. And as we see, well, we're waiting for price to come back down. So it finally breaks below here. And this is a nice little body close. So then we could say, okay, well, we're starting to move down, right? Overall. Now we continue to break down. We finally break up, right? Body close above this zone right here, or this area rather. So now we're starting to see price breaking up, and then we come back down, retest the zone in here, and it looks like we're starting to move up, but how far are we going to move up? So then now we just want to go ahead and start looking for zones over here, because if our overall bias is a bearish trend, then we obviously want to see it mitigate some unmitigated zones up in this area, right? So these are what we call protected highs or protected lows, right? It's protected because price doesn't want to go above this particular area here. And it looks like we could be in a short-term bullish movement up to this 13,373 start of this zone. And this actually looks like a pretty good, you see here, price, it opened, right? And then it just fell off, right? And you could, yeah, actually, I think this is the best zone. I'll be willing to use that zone. So now what I'm looking for is a short-term bullish push up into the zone up here. Let's go ahead and restart this music. And so, well, what am I looking for ultimately? I'm looking for buys. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and zoom in into the most recent price action. And what can we say? So price, let's break it down. You know, we got equal highs here. Then we finally break up and we say, okay, well, we broke up above, right? Because we broke down here, this zone, right? This intermediate candlestick structure came and mitigated this zone here as we pretty much expected it to do. Now we're breaking up. Okay, so now we have this zone here, which we seem to have refined already, right? So we'll move this here like that, because now we're starting to want to see it go higher. And so we're breaking up again. Now this price action looks quite unpalatable. Now what I would say is possibly see price breaking down here. So we probably would say, okay, well, if we're getting a little advanced, we want to see it trade back and forth, right? We want to see it come up to either up to here to short, to come down here to long up, right? Up to here, right? Ultimately, before falling off. And so this could take months, this could take years, this could take a year, 2 years, multiple years. But what we ultimately want to see is that currently happening. So let's continue to zoom in and let's see if we can find some just small scalps, maybe some nice little neat day trades, right? So we see here on the 1 hour time frame. When we zoom in to the candlestick structure, see price broke up and we had some really wild price action. It looks like this was Thursday last week, and then we're going ahead and move into Friday, and now we're kind of moving sideways here. And so if I'm looking here on the hourly, price just broke above this particular area here, all of this funky price action, as I would call it, and I'd say we have a zone right here. Now in the zone, we want to see price come and tap in here before going higher. Now we would want to see it confirm, but ultimately this is what we'd be looking at on a very short-term bias, with the idea in mind, right, that we want to either A, come up here to this supply zone to go and tap in before ultimately going short, before ultimately going long, and then of course going short again. So I know that was a lot and it's all over the place. Well, it's not all over the place. It's actually a very solid plan. And we just want to look for those confirmations. When it gets into these particular zones, we want to see what price action is doing. If it's following the pattern that we like, which is a double MB break to the upside or the downside, right? We have MB1 break, right? And then we're going to sell or buy stop the next MB, which is the mint block, or you can simply think of it as candlestick structure breaking to the side where we want to take the trade to. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and put our alerts here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and get my demand zone alert. I'm going to go ahead and create it, and we're just going to wait for price on the short-term time frame to come down into the zone, and then we're going to look and see on much lower time frame, maybe like a 15, 12, 6 comes down here. We want to see price. Let's go ahead and draw this in. Where's my handy dandy arrow? Like, we want to see something like this, right? And then possibly like this, and then we see this break, and then we see a retest, right? And then we see higher, right? So then we would ultimately want to say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and buy stop this, right? And what do we want to see? Well, we wanted to see it run up to here. So, you know, that's a neat little 1 to 6 if that could happen how we wanted to see it happen. So let's go ahead. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the NASDAQ. And let's go to the euro and see what's going on here. All right, so let's go to the daily and let's see what's been doing. So now we've been in this bullish push. We've been going up. So compared to the dollar, euro's worth $1.08 right now. So now we're seeing price continue to the upside. We recently had this small little pullback, but then we had a nice break of structure here. So we could, on a higher term time frame, be looking to continue to go up, right? And we want to say, hey, well, this is a demand zone that looks like it's pretty much worthy to come to. We want to see, ultimately, we have a nice little range here. So we have an unmitigated zone in here. So we could say, well, which one do we get to first? And again, what I do is I'm a scalper, right? I'm not a buy and hold type of guy, although that strategy is great, I'd say. You can go ahead and have your different strategies for the way that you want to go ahead and trade. So what we want to see is price probably come down here, mitigate the zone before going higher, before actually this might get slightly confusing. So what we want to see first is we just want to trade this range. That's actually what we want to do. So we just want to trade this range. So let's go ahead and put a supply zone here on a daily, right? This is higher time frame trading right here, right? So you're not looking for it to do something in the next hour, 2 hours, looking for probably like a few days. So if we're looking for price to ultimately come up here before shorting, right, to get a nice whatever RR we're looking for in there, then that's great, right? So let's go here. We see price break down, breaks up again. Where did it come from? Somewhere down in here. So we could see price come down here and come and get a trade off of this demand zone here. This is on the 4 hour if you see what I'm looking at. Now again, you could go down here on the euro. Euro's not super volatile. It doesn't move a ton in a day, right? And what is this evidenced by? Well, I guess technically you could see some of these larger candles, right? Like you see this and you could say, okay, well, how much did that move in a day? That moved what, like almost 1.5% in a day. It's not super crazy, right? Because all these candlesticks are a day. And so when you see these larger candlesticks, let's go ahead and check this one out too. Yeah, that's like 1.5%. So, I mean, the larger moves are 1.5% in a day, right? And so if you look here and you're like, okay, well, could it move that today? I mean, technically, it could move halfway up there, to be fair. And then you say, well, can it move down here today? And that's probably not as likely. That's a very large move, right? So then we just want to come and see, okay, well, what does price look like it's doing? I mean, obviously it looks like it's going bullish, so why wouldn't it continue to go bullish? We still see a lot of price action to be filled in here, or a lot of price to be filled in here, right? Orders where it's just a large move up. Maybe we need to come and fill in or buy more, sell more in this area. When I say we, I mean the market, because we're a part of the market. So we're just going to leave these zones here, and we're going to wait for them to go ahead and get tapped into. And then we're going to look for our confirmations. So let's go to gold right now. Gold right now is at $1,912.19. And if we go up to the higher time frame, it looks like we are pretty much in a bullish scenario at this point. You know, we had to break down. We had some equal lows here, but then we ended up breaking back up, right? So we broke above this particular structural point here. Right now, it just looks like it's just kind of meandering. Right, we broke above it. Where's the strong body close? Came here. So if we broke above here, well, where did that come from? I mean, I guess you could argue it came from down here. And so you could say, well, this is a very large pullback. Is price actually coming down here on the daily? Well, yeah, probably. I mean, it looks like we're still bullish. So how much more bullish until we start to go bearish again, you know, short term? Well, then that's when we go ahead and look left. And we see break here. I don't know. Pretty hard to tell. I'd say we just want to look for buys here, and I'm pretty sure I extrapolated this area here because I was looking for a short-term scalp. Yeah, and I think I'll leave that. So we're looking at the 30-minute. We have up. Yeah, we want to see, right? We want to see a break of structure here before we start looking for any type of shorts. That's for sure. So if we're scalping this, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put break of structure. All right, great. So that's pretty much all I'm going to look at today. So that has been the trade ideas for 117. I hope you learned something. Go ahead into the comment section and let me know what you think about this type of content, and let me know where you're at with your particular testing and how much data you've collected and the strategies that you're using and what success that you're seeing or what improvements you're looking to make. You know, let's have a conversation. Let's start this community up and let's all become consistently profitable. And go ahead and hit the like or dislike button depending on what you think of this type of content, of course, and hit the subscribe if this stuff interests you and you want to continue to see more. It's been your boy B Phil, Trade Ideas, Trade Life with B Phil, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace.